Hi everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WC Reader, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm coming at you with part 2 of my September reading wrap-up. So I already attempted to film this video, had a whole video filmed, went to put the files on my computer, and they ended up corrupting. So I'm back at it again, and hopefully it's better this time anyway. When I left off on part 1, I was talking about Redeemed by His New York Cinderella, which is a Harlequin Presents romance by Jadasola James. And it was my first Jadasola James book. She had another book out earlier this year, which I also read, and I will talk about in a minute. And this book was set in New York City, mainly in the Manhattan area, and a little bit of Long Island, I believe. So it follows this woman named Catherine Kitty Acer. She is a former foster child who had the chance to be adopted by a rich family, and then it kind of fell through, so it stuck with her. And now she runs a foundation where she helps children who age out of the system. And she does, one of the ways she gets donors is by kind of like being a party crasher at some fancy galas. So she finds out where they're being held at hotels, rents a dress, and shows up. So going with her usual routine, this time she decides she's going to charge a fancy dinner on the penthouse, not knowing who was in the penthouse. So, and not knowing that while she's sitting there enjoying her fancy dinner, the penthouse guest heard that she charged his room. So she's at the gala, and the man ends up confronting her. The man is Lawrence Stone, who is actually the child of the family who almost adopted her, and the reason they sent her away in the first place, although she doesn't have the full details on that. And he ends up confronting her. While he's confronting her, they're outside, and I guess like a pavilion or something falls and almost crashes on them, but she's able to push him and herself out of the way in time. And so he's like overcome with emotion because she just saved his life. They go up to his room in the penthouse for him to like bandage her up, like for her from the scrapes she got from them falling down. And while she's leaving and he's putting her in a cab, he runs into one of his business associates and pretends that's his girlfriend, because the woman who usually poses as his girlfriend found herself a real man and left him, and their little arrangement. So the moment where she saved his life ends up going viral, and he proposes like a plan that they should fake date for a while and build on that love story, and it'll be mutually beneficial for the both of them because he can help her build her foundation. So she agrees to help her build the foundation, gets a full makeover, hair with extensions, makeup, the works, and she's looking good. She's attending these fancy events on his arm, and they end up getting to know each other and bonding more. He does eventually end up telling her like the reason as to why his family sent her away, and he also reveals that he's estranged from his family, and for reasons that he does get into. And so anyway, they end up hooking up on his yacht. It's fun yacht sex. If that's your thing, this definitely has that. And they end up falling in love. It was like just a fun, simple story of wealth. Like it says, it's a Cinderella story. So if Cinderella is your thing, definitely check this one out. I thought it was a really good for one of her first books. Now, I also this month read The Swedish Charade, again by Jadasola James, and that one is her debut romance. It is also Harlequin, but through Carina Press, and that one follows Delisa Daniels, who is an influencer, and she tags this man in a raunchy picture, like just like a suggestive picture to try and drum up her fans. And it turns out that the man she tagged was not the one that she took the picture with. She ends up accidentally tagging this professor at this New York university. His whole campus catches wind of it because the picture goes viral due to all her fans. He ends up getting like 10,000 new followers, and his dean is like calling him into the office, like, what's going on here? You can't be putting this suggestive content on the internet. So he calls up her legal team and threatens to sue. His manager, her manager arranges for a sit down dinner at the Soho Lounge with him. They get there and they were just going to go to like the bottom floor, but because of his family name, they get to go like up to the most exclusive part of the lounge because apparently his family is really really wealthy, although this book really tries to have him downplay it, and I'm like, just embrace that you have money, dude. I don't need this fake humble nonsense. Like, because he was very a pretentious type of character. Like his interests are very like old money, which goes along with his old money family. And he's like, oh, I'm just a poor cousin, but he lives in like this restored mansion. And like I said, you throw out his name and everybody knows who he is. And even though he scoffs at fancy clothes, you can't tell me he's not wearing like some pretty good clothes on his daily professional life. But anyway, they meet up. They agree to fake date because of his name and the publicity this picture has got him. Her manager thinks it's a great idea to gain them both followers, and he agrees because he has this passion project to restore a luxury train that was once owned by his family, and Amtrak comes a calling with the funds ready to help him do this restoration project. So he agrees to go out with Elisa. He is finding it a little bit hard to fit into her influencer life. Although the only thing for me that really felt different between her life and his is that hers is in front of the camera. But other than that, I feel like they were both kind of on the similar levels money-wise. I mean, he seemed to even have like a little bit more money than her, like because his family used to own a railroad, and they are very big in the Philadelphia theater scene, and like and his cousin is the governor, and you throw their name around New York and everybody seems to know who they are, whereas she's an influencer, so she has to have her fans, but then nobody's like knows who she is unless she's telling them who she is. So they're doing their fake dating thing. Amtrak helps him restore the plane, and they get to do like this luxury train ride on the restored plane around the Northeast to major cities. So you get like those little cute events of like different things to do in each city, like see a show, see a special baseball game, go to clubs, all that fun stuff. Throughout it all, there's like these rivals she has who are other social media influencers, one of whom is her ex-boyfriend, who she kind of feuds with. But for the most part, it's not too heavy on the drama. It was a very slow burn, and the way it slow burned didn't necessarily work for me, because like it would be going fast and at a good pace, and then it was like they would purposely slow it down to like the book to make it a slow burn, and I wasn't really feeling that. Plus, like Alexander Abbott Hill, which is the professor, is just the most pretentious character I've read about in a while, and his personality didn't really vibe with me, and I don't know what their age difference was supposed to be, but he just came across as so much older and stuffier, and I didn't really see why she ended up so attracted to him. I mean, the sex was good. They had train sex. It was great train sex. I really enjoyed those scenes, but other than that, they didn't click with me enough to want to see them as a happily ever after. And for a debut, it wasn't bad. I ended up giving it like a solid 3 stars. So aside from the romance, one of the other books I was reading was No Gods, No Monsters, which is by Cadwell Turnbull. it was my first Cadwell Turnbull book because I did not read the lesson, and I'm not fully sure how to describe this book. Like, it was a good book. It was a lot of point of views, and not everything was completely clear, and it's not like it was just like one clear-cut problem. So when the book starts off, you follow Lina or Ina or whatever her name is, and she finds out that her brother was killed by the police, and they think it's just like, an incident of police brutality. However, she ends up getting a video that shows that it wasn't just a random act of police brutality. Like, the police thought they were shooting this like wolf-like creature, and then after they shot the wolf, it morphs into her brother, which she then leaks online to let the world know that like these werewolves exist, and the world loses their mind. Not only do they lose their mind, like, there's a clear attempt at covering it up, so this video disappears pretty quickly from the internet. However, then these other wolves that are in hiding come out and then show themselves in the open, and there's people who are like forming hate groups, and there are people who are forming alliances, and you go and you follow different people who have magical abilities and their allies, and people who like they behind who are dealing. And so, like I said, you follow a lot of different POVs. They were, for the most part, they were very interesting. They were just like, it's a little hard to follow at first, but then once you read more, you see how all these people's lives are interconnected, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't your typical type of fantasy. It was more like a literary style of fantasy. So if literary fantasy is not your thing and you just need a straightforward plot, maybe skip this series. But I really enjoyed No Gods, No Monsters. I liked what it did. I liked how it wasn't just black and white. And I'm looking forward to reading more. So, one of the next books that I read during the month of September was No Ordinary Christmas by Belle Calhoun. And this was a Christmas romance. My first Christmas romance of the year, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm ready to dive into the Christmas romances because they're all starting to release. I actually talked about this in my new Christmas release recommendation videos, like where I was talking about the books that I'm excited for, so I'm actually not going to get too into this one here. Just know that it's a sweet romance. If you like Hallmark type of stories, and I know like this one's been getting like compared a lot to a Hallmark story, and Belle Calhoun has actually had one of her books turned into a movie before, so if you like those types of movies, that's this type of writing style. It was really sweet, enjoyable, had all those fun moments like snowball fights and decorating and hot cocoa, and it'll definitely help you get into the holiday season. Plus, it is a black romance in a small town, and we love those here. So as I mentioned, September was kind of a slumpy reading month for me. So some of the next books that I read were picture books because I'm putting together a holiday gift guide. I will link part 1 below, and like one of the things I want to do is include a lot of stories that you can get for all ages so that you can share your love of reading with your family and friends. So through the Philadelphia Free Public Library, which if you're a PA resident, you can get a digital library card and have access to their Libby, which is great. I was able to borrow some children's books to check out for the guide and just see what I wanted to buy the kids for Christmas, and I pretty much have my picture books together now for them, so that's exciting. The first one I read was Zerry Ray Tries Ballet, and that one follows a biracial girl who is trying ballet for the first time with her best friend because they like to try different activities together all the time. And Zuri is not as graceful as the other girls in the class, and she doesn't find herself quite enjoying it. I thought this was really endearing and fun. The next one that I read was Coqui in the City. Loved this one. So colorful in the illustrations, which is a must. And it follows this boy who is moving from Puerto Rico to New York. And even though it seems like this new city is so crazy different, he ends up finding the similarities between both neighborhoods. And I highly recommend that one as well. The next one that I read was Grandpa Cacao, and this one I wasn't that big of a fan of the illustrations out, and the story didn't fully catch me. Like, it's not something I could read to my niece and then she'll want to listen to it over and over again. Um, it it's just like this um dad telling his daughter about the chocolate farm that his family used to work on, and it didn't have a strong plot. And I feel like with picture books, they're so expensive, like that you kind of need a good solid plot, because who wants to pay almost $20 and there's barely a story? And that was the problem with this. It could have been great if there was a solid story structure instead of just like, okay, and we're telling you these interesting facts about Coco, but there wasn't much to connect to there. Not having much to connect to was also a problem I had with one of my next ones, which was Climb On by Baptiste Paul. Beautiful, gorgeous illustrations in this book as well. This one, it follows like a mountain hike in the Pitons. I've been to St. Lucia before, and the illustrations was dead on how the mountains look, so that was fun. There's lots of Creole sprinkled throughout, which was pretty cool as well. But it's like a lot of directions, so sometimes on the page you'll have one word like "look there" or "over there," and there's no really like explanation for why they're going on this hike. They're just kind of just going on a hike to go on a hike. And for like almost $20, I'd like a stronger story in a picture book. So if they would have added a little bit more, this would have been a solid picture book read for me. But since it wasn't that strong, um, it's not one that I highly recommend. Also, Climb On is an arc that I read, so it won't release until April. So if they want to make little tweaks to it, they have plenty of time. And that was everything that I read during the month of September. Like I said, it wasn't my best reading month, but hopefully October gets better. There are some like great books that I have on my TBR for October that I'm looking forward to, and we'll definitely check in with you guys throughout the month. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye!